You want that with a side of trauma? Huh?
You ever play a game wanting DLC and all you got was pinball instead? Yeah, that's Sonic Generations. With the remake, we got a semi-rewritten story and what is the equivalent of Bowser's Fury DLC. Originally, I wanted to separate Vanilla Generations from 2011 from Shadow Generations, but I thought since there was so much different, it would be fun to compare the two. I'm just going to list off all of the differences between base Vanilla Generations and the Shadow Generations semi-remake right off the bat. First thing is, we have the drop dash between the two of them. No, I barely use this. 2, you can't even use it to get under crevices or anything like that, so speed and momentum really isn't the name of the game here. It's just to remind you that Mania was cool. Second thing is, we have 3 Chow in each stage. That's another thing that's not really... It's cosmetic to the overworld. I don't really see much of a use for this other than the fact that it's cool and aesthetically pleasing in the hub world. All the DLC comes with it, including the secret room and the casino night pinball stage. Big whoop. Lastly, there was a semi-remake of this back when Xbox wanted to up-res everything with 4K and ray tracing, and Generations and Unleashed were part of that. But it had a few bugs, specifically in Chemical Plant Zone. There is a hook you cannot grab onto without freezing the game, and I would say the Genesis was broken in the original semi-remake, but then they decided to omit that in the Shadow Generations remake, so I guess they fixed the bug by removing the feature altogether because why not? The gameplay is literally the same. The only thing that's slightly different is the control scheme, which is just Frontiers controls, but because I'm a pro and a veteran, I've just omitted this entirely and just went for base Vanilla Generations controls. Sonic has always had varying control schemes, it's just how the game feels, and that's mainly what I focus on when I think of Sonic games. Now, let's get to the actual Generations review. So the refined gameplay of Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors cultivated into what I think is the masterpiece of boost formula gameplay, along with probably what is the best recreation of the Genesis-era classic Sonic momentum-based gameplay, or at the very least, something that is very close to it. Back in the day, the fans actually got to decide from various stages across all Sonic games. It gave the fans what they wanted, because especially at the time where Sonic was up in the air for the most part, it was refreshing. At the time, I actually got to pick my favorite Sonic stages that I wanted in. Ask me if I remember what they were, the answer is no. But I will say that the picks they chose were really good, and eventually, some of the ones that I didn't think were good actually grew on me. I just can't believe they picked Crisis City, though, because, reminder, at the time, Sonic 06 was still hated. We didn't have Project 06. So, the basis of Sonic 06 was, it's bad, don't touch it. And yet, people voted for it. They actually liked the stage. So, I'm really surprised that this came to be. I'm what you would call a Sonic 06 apologist, mainly because, as a teenager, I understood that the level design was great for Sonic 06, and the music obviously was always top-notch. It was just the gameplay and the load times. Like, we didn't have Project 06. This wasn't a thing we could refer to confirm this theory. You just had to think on your own 2 feet. But if you said anything that praised Sonic 06 back in 2011, you were basically committing sin. The story is classic Sonic, modern Sonic team up for Sonic's birthday. They go through time, they save time, Eggman's the villain, the end. If you want a full-fledged story here, you're not finding it. That's for the Shadow Gens portion of this review. But let's go over all the zones real quick. From the Genesis era, we have Green Hill, no-brainer. Honestly, this was the only pick could have feasibly started with. And this was before Green Hill was used in everything. I know Emerald Hill was kind of Green Hill 2, and I know that Neo Green Hill is some kind of different Green Hill from Advanced, but it's not just Green Hill. Next up from Sonic 2, we have Chemical Plant Zone, which, if I'm being honest, would not have been my first pick. That actually belongs to... Oh, sweet God, what did they do to my child? Yeah, Casino Night was relegated to a sleazy pinball machine. Mind you, this was the only DLC we got. So, to say this was lackluster is an understatement. Like, was this really the DLC compromise here? Like, was there no other way they could just be like, oh yeah, down the road we'll add this, or something like they really just made a pinball machine? Was there no other way to get Casino Night on console? I get Chemical Plant is a legacy stage, but for the bubble thing? Like, come on. The pinball machine? I just... Look, there's no other DLC here unless you count the Xbox 360 outfits or the toy avatars, whatever. Just, you know, the stuff that went on the Xbox version of Mies. Like, I can't tell you how much of a disappointment that this game is when it comes to DLC. Gameplay's great. Best boost formula out of this franchise. To this day, I still stand by this. And best classic Sonic remake gameplay. To this day, I still stand by this. At least in a 2.5D setting. Not Mania doesn't count. They basically just made the Sonic 4 we should have gotten before. Alright, next up. Last of the Genesis zones, we have Sky Sanctuary. Honestly, I would say it's better than Green Hill, less handholdy, and it has branching pathways for you to explore. It gives the player a little more freedom. Goes for both classic and modern Sonic here. I honestly feel like there was a better choice on the 3D. Oh no.
Damn it!
Hey, yeah, so I'm in the middle of recording this, and I actually have to edit the script to write in the fact that I'm not reviewing the 3DS version. There are some things I think it did better than its console counterpart, but, yeah, oof. The problem is the 3DS version has enough to make it completely different and on its own merit, but then it also has enough to say, why is this a remake or semi-demake, I guess? I don't know, different take, maybe? See, it's just weird. I don't have a 3DS capture card because I'm not a fancy YouTuber yet, and Citra was completely nuked by the Nintendo Ninjas, so unless I can find that or buy a 3DS capture card, at the moment, I'm just not gonna review it. I'll mention it here and there, but I won't fully review it. I'll tell you what, I'm a man of my word, 10,000 followers, and I'll review the 3DS version and compare it to base generations, even if I have to hold the camera up to the 3DS.
I will say I think it's superior to its console counterpart in a lot of ways, though.
Alright, next we should talk about the rival bosses and normal bosses. For the Genesis area, first we have Metal Sonic, what I'm assuming is Stardust Speedway, as well as the stage. Like, it just looks like Chemical Plant, but retextured and reused assets. That's pretty much all I can tell. It was a no-brainer, though, for them, because, I mean, what else are they gonna do? Throw Mecha Sonic 1 in there? I mean, I guess you could do, you know, Mecha Sonic 2 from Sonic 3, but let's face it, Metal Sonic had way more impact, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Each rival fight, you whack 3 times, same thing with the bosses, it's 3 hits and then you win. Straightforward formula, it's actually better than some of the Genesis boss fights where you would have to get like 16 hits. Okay, next boss is the Death Egg Robot. Again, great pick. Could not have thought of a different boss that would have been better or more suited or more impactful. I actually think this is a solid pick. In this one, they take a 2.5D to 3D view perspective of it, which, again, at the time was totally revolutionary. Coming off the heels of, you know, Sonic 2, if you had seen from the original Genesis to now this remade boss, it would have blown your mind as a kid. Okay, defeating both bosses now nabs you Chaos Emeralds for each of them. Now, one thing I don't really care to talk about is the missions, because if you just do the handful of missions, you get the keys, you beat the bosses, and the missions are harmless, and they get you power-ups and stuff if you really go for it. At the time, I actually did 100% it, but now it's kind of just like a cute commodity where it's like, I'll nitpick it every once in a while, but it's not my favorite.
See, I did everything back in 2011. I don't want to hear jack in the comments. All of it. I did it.
Although completing these missions gets you cute extras like music, art, so on and so forth. So if you're into that stuff, game preservation and everything, you know, by all means, go for it. It's actually good content. I just don't like the missions. Okay, for the Dreamcast era, we have Speed Highway. Again, not my first pick. I would have preferred Twinkle Park, Windy Valley. Not saying Speed Highway is a bad pick by any means. I just think in terms of iconic or fun, those two would have been way better of a choice, in my opinion. Because I believe, actually, I voted for Twinkle Park back in the day. Come to think of it. I'm just glad it's not Casinopolis. Then we have, okay, come on. Literally, this was the only pick they could have done for this game. It's City Escape. There's no other choice that, like, comes close to Sonic Adventure 2 for this one. It's why it was the mid-show banger for the Sonic Symphony. I love the truck chases on both classic and modern Sonic's end. It's just hilarious that in classic Sonic, the truck stalks you and lurks around, and then in modern Sonic, it just full-blown Mad Maxes it for you. Like, it's just fun. Also, Bark, Fang, and Bean Wanted posters. I love that. I really think that this was just a cute little touch. They didn't have to do it, but I'm glad it's here. All right, lastly, we have, wait a minute, Seaside Hill? What the heck is, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, technically, it's a Dreamcast zone, but considering Sonic Adventure 2 was written to be the very last Sonic game, we can excuse Sega on this matter because I always liked Sonic Heroes as a game, and I thought it was the lost Dreamcast game we never got. Though, during a summer camp at the YMCA, I sang the main song, Sonic Heroes, at the talent show, and from that point forward, I never sang in front of an audience again. All right, for the rival fight, we have Shadow, and no surprise, look what he has. It's
that damn fourth Chaos Emerald.
Yep, Sonic and Shadow both have a weird power-up thing in this. They take these little orbs, you get 2 of them, assuming they're random chaos energy on the arc. Okay, sure, fine, we'll just say that's lingering around from Adventure 2 for some reason. When Sonic gets it, he speeds through asteroids that are around the area, live and learn plays, you beat Shadow, you win. Which is nice, because it's a cute little touch. If Shadow gets it, All Hail Shadow plays, he throws a bunch of Chaos Spears at you, and that's pretty much it. You boost gameplay through an infinite loop, and eventually you just beat him. Now, we'll get back to this in the Shadow story in a second, because it's very interesting how they kind of fan-serviced it in. But, that being said, I wouldn't be a Sonic fan if I didn't notice this.
Yep, I'm a proper Sonic fan, alright.
Alright, for the boss fight, it's Chaos from the Genesis era. Now, it's weird how the power scaling is, because it's not like Dragon Ball, but there's like slow progression that these characters are getting stronger over time. Because it took Super Sonic back in Adventure to beat Perfect Chaos. Now just Boost Formula Sonic is just like, yeah, it's fine, I'll boost through it. It just doesn't make sense. Mind you, it's the same writing from the guys who did Happy Tree Friends, who wrote Sonic Generations originally. Cannot imagine how that went across Sega's desk.
Yeah, no. Colors was perfect, actually. We're just looking for some new writers for the next game. Murder! Yeah, that works.
Although it's about as good as time as any to mention that Ian Flynn, whom by all accounts should have been writing this stuff from the start, he really nailed a lot of Frontiers cover-ups for Tails being a little shit in Forces, but a top G in Adventure saving everyone from basically what could be described as a nuke, and then Eggman on top of that. Well, in Forces, he cowers in front of zero chaos, which is just first form chaos, like without any Chaos Emeralds. It's a pushover. Look, I haven't read the comics entirely, but I've seen enough snippets on the internet and enough public cheers to say he's done a good job. I wonder how he rewrote Generations, though, just to tweak it a little bit.
Thanks, Sonic. Now then, tell me, where is the rest of my island?
Thanks, Sonic. You did a good job back there. Hey, did you gain weight?
Alright, well, fuck you then. Yeah, minor spoiler alert. They changed Amy's animation at the end of this, but to the degree where she's not creepy or obsessed over Sonic to make her more of a valid character. But they didn't change this one little part where Sonic is just rubbing his stomach for whatever reason. I feel like this was a sick joke or a time saver, but either way, I just think it's lazy. Yeah, look, the writing is weird at this point, but it's nothing too crazy. It's harmless, it's just kind of funny how they changed all the voice acting, but none of the animation. Also, Mike Pollock's age is really showing here because he seems to have lost a lot of steam.
Take a good look at yourself, Sonic.
Dr. Eggman?
It's the last look you'll get before I close your eyes forever. Take a good look at yourself, Sonic.
Dr. Eggman?
It's the last look you'll get before I close your eyes forever.
Okay, for the modern era, we're starting off with what the heck? Why was this the first pick? Like, still, again, back in the day, like, Crisis City, 06, it was all hated. Everyone hated Sonic 06. Maybe they were just the people who were morbidly curious of what a good Sonic 06 would look like, and then we got things like Project 06. So, I get it. Like, at least now that we have those projects. But, at the same time, if you're looking back at 2011, everyone still hated Sonic 06. I would actually pay, though, for a ground-up remake of Sonic 06. Like, $70, I'll pay for it. Sega, it's free money. Just for you. And listen, we Sonic fans, we eat that stuff up. Especially since you guys have been so humble recently. I can't deny that. You guys have been taking things in strides when it comes to your failings. As of recently. So, I'm referencing other games to just... You see, the issue is, all of Generations is just referencing source material. It's basically a compilation, it's an anniversary title. You know, for Pete's sakes, come on, I'm a Sonic fan. After all...
I hate money.
So, the next stage is Rooftop Run, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not get this far in Unleashed, the Wii version, or the Xbox 360 version, which got upscaled on the Xbox Series X. I genuinely just did not like the metal system in that, and I was a teenager or young adult at the time, and I just didn't feel like I had the time for it. You know, if I make to YouTube a whole career thing, sure, I would love to do it. In fact, I'm trying to do that. But for now, ugh. Alright, look. I love Sonic Colors.
Look, I'm sorry, I love you.
It was a simple game, it took it back to, I would say, some of Sonic's roots while doing some new things. Planet Wisp was literally the worst stage in Generations. It just, period, all over the place. 3DS, base gens, shadow gens, anything. It was the worst remade stage. They picked two of the lamest Wisp power-ups, Rocket and Spike, on top of giving classic Sonic, who should not even know how to use them here. I wouldn't exactly go absorbing animals if I didn't know what they did. I would like to get into timeline stuff. See, we have Sonic CD and Crisis City, and I'm just baffled. Because one, Silver shouldn't know who Sonic is, and on top of that, Metal Sonic, if I recall correctly, in Sonic CD was part of the bad timeline. So what are we doing here? It makes no sense. I just can't get behind this. Especially since in Shadow Generations, they all of a sudden start pretending to care about the story here. Hey everyone, Health Nut Gamer here. Today I'd actually like to talk a little bit about ice cream for bears. And I know it sounds weird, ice cream, right, being the healthy thing, but the thing is you can read the label on this, right? So for some of you who might want actually, like, you know, semi-decent ice cream that, you know, you don't feel terrible afterwards, this is perfect. Let me read the ingredients to you. Milk, cream, raw honey, skim milk, egg yolk, chocolate chips, cacao dates, or cacao, dates, coconut oil, pure peppermint oil. That's the last thing. And again, I know some of you might be allergic to this stuff, right? Like, you know, maybe lactose intolerant or something. But, you know, for everyone who isn't lactose intolerant, this is a great product. And they have vanilla, they have chocolate, and mint chip. Or, sorry, I can't say mint chip. Copyright reasons. Mint to be. This isn't an ad or sponsored thing. I don't have any kind of script that the company gave me. This is me just saying, hey, this is healthy if you want to substitute your ice cream. So, with that in mind, guys, I hope you enjoy. Go back to the show, and I don't have a script for this. I don't know how to end this. Alright, cool, bye. Like, for the remake's sake, I wish they explained this a little bit more. Unfortunately, they don't. It's the same dialogue, it's fine, whatever. But to go back to Planet Wisp and have it be such a bore, my god! No joke, high-speed spin dash that they gave Sonic, classic Sonic and Generations, it's useless here. Basically, you'll hit a wall, you do whatever, or it's just gone. Formula-wise, for modern Sonic, the boost is good for about 2 minutes. I don't mind 2D Rush gameplay here, but the problem is, the boost isn't, it's barely used. It's barely used at all. And I just don't think it's fun in comparison to Crisis City, which originally was bad. Planet Wisp was originally great and fun in Sonic Colors. It just needed a few tweaks here and there. How did they mess this up so badly? Anyway, the rival fight for this area is Silver. It's kind of boring. Like, it's not great. You hit him 3 times, it's done. Like, he has no flavor anymore. Ever since the tragedy of 06, he's just been relegated to background character, basically like Trunks did in Dragon Ball Z. He was cool for like a little bit, but then became the side character. Now look, the last boss for this area is the Egg Dragoon. And again, I didn't play far enough into Unleashed, but I will say he was easy and a total cakewalk in horses. Give me a second. The fight here is pretty interesting, at least. I guess since Eggman was originally captured in the Death Egg robot, the player can kind of already deduce that there are 2 Eggmans, and... What do you mean Ian Flynn? Wait, what do you mean Ian Flynn overwrote this and decided to add Classic Eggman, and then have Classic Sonic not warn everyone that there are 2 Eggmans? He just likes good fan service, that's it. Why is he changing the good, funny things or the things that just... Like, that's pointless. Why would he do that? Ugh, alright, fine, whatever. At this point, you have all of the Chaos Emeralds. So, you will get to unlock the final boss after putting them in all these stupid gears, which is kind of pointless, but whatever. Honestly, it's just weirder the fact that all of his friends are here, and the ones who can go super aren't going super with him? Like, Blaze, for example. You should be in another dimension, but hey, super form. If you really want to do the Soul Emeralds thing, fine. Okay, you don't have a super form. Silver, you should be in a different timeline altogether, buddy. But sure, you have a super form. Shadow, you just got back after, well, you know, Shadow Generations now that we know what that is. You've always had a super form. What are you doing? Knuckles, get those pink locks out of retirement. We need Super Knuckles. And then for Tails, dear Lord, where are those flickies? I get it's a Sonic game, but it would just be really fun to have all of his friends wail on Eggman at the end. Just comedically, of course. Give it the Saturday morning cartoon vibe. Also, I know it's a Sonic game, and, you know, they all want to pitch in some way, shape, or form, but honestly, annoying the crap out of me while I'm on the phone trying to beat a time-eating boss just doesn't exactly seem like the most proper use of your time. Like, I'm sorry, saying you got this, Sonic, just... it's so annoying. Also, besides the blemish that is Planet Wisp, we actually have another one. It's this final boss. It's basically broken. When Classic Sonic is going on this weird angle up on the loop, if you try to change the angle at some off certain point in time, it's just weird. And modern Sonic, you just hit the boost button, and you hope you hit the thing in the center to beat the boss. It's just not... It's not intuitive. Like, it seems rushed, even. I mean, I don't know. It's not my favorite. Again, Generations is peak. I want to make that clear. The gameplay is phenomenal. The stages, except for Planet Wisp, phenomenal. The fights, phenomenal. Silver's kind of boring. But look, like, the final boss that's supposed to be the combination of whatever, it seemed so tacked on at the end. Like, this was their afterthought. Oh god, we have to end the game. What do we do? It's just anticlimactic. Yeah, so when the timeline's all set back, and everyone's having fun at the little birthday party, you know, time travel, cool, great, whatever, somehow it's magically fixed. you get hit with this line, and at the time, again, we were told this. Mind you, Generations was like a perfect Sonic game. Still loved to this day, bar none. But at the time, we got this line, and, well, the following games just didn't really didn't. The next 2D game was not great, and then the next 3D game was also not great. The replayability of Generations, though, is what really got me back between red rings, unlockable art. You know, a total secret to me as a kid was the little room. I got this piece of paper that showed this room, and I was so confused. Again, this figure that I bought from, like, Toys R Us when that was still a thing, I just did not understand. So then at the time, I had all these codes and looked them up on the internet, and I was like, wow, this is great. Again, things like this in video games don't exist anymore. We get it all in base Generations, X Shadow Generation. We get it in the remake for free. So, you know, yay, the fun of that kind of died. Okay, overall, Sonic Generations, you know, niche things here and there, but honestly, a good package back in 2011. And even now, I know that Shadow Generations is like the tie-in game, but it's still good to have this. Base Generations was originally ported to the Xbox Series X and Steam, but I think one of the biggest falls of this was just removing Sonic 1 from the Shadow Generations port of this. Because it was the first game in the franchise, it did make a big splash. And on top of that, you could get Sonic 1 pretty much anywhere from, you know, let's face it, ROM sites have it, but then basically the Nintendo Switch has like 5 different ways to play it. And on top of that, Steam has Origins, and they had that, whatever that 3D room thing was for a while, but then they delisted that. Again, it's a great game. I just feel like if it's an anniversary title, you know what, maybe you should have just kept the one thing that really made it special, because unlocking that Genesis controller at the end as a kid was phenomenal. And then they broke it in the semi-remake where everything was 4K and it's something with the code, and I don't know, but like if you reduce it back to normal resolution, you know, all of the bug fixes are gone. Again, the semi-remake was fine and serviceable, it just had a few noticeable glitches. Then Shadow Generation comes around, fixes the bugs, and then removes this very special, iconic thing. It just irked me, but from a preservation standpoint, Original Generations is still preserved. You just have to buy a Legacy Bundle on Steam. Not great, but you know what? It's better than nothing. I have absolutely no affiliation with Sega or Steam other than my own game that I've plugged somewhere in this video. But basically, I would go buy this. I would preserve this. This is media that should be preserved because I think Original Generations from 2011 is better than Generations from, you know, Shadow Generations, in my opinion. I just think the voice acting's better, the story's a little more, you know, tied in, there's not niche oddities. I like it for what it is. And for better or not, I just like base Generations a lot more than the Shadow Gens one. I never really cared for the Chow. I cared for the DLC back in the day for Casino Night because I thought I lost it, but at the end of the day, it's not really different. Like, you can still play it at 4K if you hunt down a physical copy, or you can play it on Steam if you get the bundle. Again, if you don't have any of the Sonic games, get the bundle. I mean, it's a good deal. I just happen to have a lot of Sonic games on there. I don't have all of them. I think I'm missing, oh god, I think Adventure 1, but other than that, yeah, everything else is, I got. It's great. Alright, cool, now let's talk about Shadow Generations for a second. As in, this, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, this game has a lot more quote-unquote story. It's not really story-driven, it just reminds you of things that happen a lot in past games, and that's pretty much it. But before we talk about that, Sega actually did a whole epilogue thing that I feel like is worth talking about here. Yeah, that's right, Sega's kind of back giving epilogues for their games for whatever reason. I don't know why you need external media sources to tell the story of the game, but whatever, fine. You know, they put it on YouTube, it was free for everyone, the animation was flawless, beautiful. Oh my god, I could not, It was phenomenal. Again, it's more palatable than the little comic thing we got from Forces. Oh god, I really hate that game. I'm sorry. I can't, I hate mentioning it. I might need to get baptized for how much I slander it, though. Because there are some people that do defend it. Again, after reliving his nightmare for the millionth time, which he senses something on the Ark afterwards, and I don't know how he sensed something from space, but, you know, sure, whatever. It's later confirmed by Gunn that this was true, that there is something living on the Ark, that there is a life force signature or something. But before we get Shadow and the way he John Wicks a spacecraft, which, ironic enough, John Wick playing Shadow the Hedgehog is just peak irony here. He first meets Rouge and Omega, who originally were stealing data from Eggman in regards to the Time Eater, which, again, cool, Shadow's just here to steal a spaceship. He's just doing his own thing. But then, instead of taking a ship from Eggman, Rouge is like, why don't we just take it from Gunn? And then Shadow's like, sure, let's destroy millions of dollars in taxpayer money to go down the drain for absolutely no reason, because the commander is now confirmed, not only his name being Abraham. You know, Ian Flynn wanted to make that, I guess, a confirmation because of the comics. Sure, cool, whatever. But, like, why he did this was just so extra. I mean, it's cool and great, but again, too extra. Shadow should be a little more mellow, don't you think? Anyway, did you know that Omega here was actually voiced by Roger Craig Smith? Yeah, Sonic voiced Omega. Weird stuff. But in any case, the animation, oh my gosh, listen. I have an animation degree, ask me what I'm doing with it. But barely taught me half the stuff they did here. And it is time consuming. They did a wonderful job. If you don't watch the epilogue episodes in-game, please watch them on YouTube. Give Sega that ad revenue, because they did a fantastic job on this. Alright, so after he steals the shuttle from Gunn and, you know, nearly dying, yeah, that happened. But yeah, he has a PTSD episode on the space shuttle, and to be honest, same man, I think about her too. Not Maria, but someone else. Anyway, my degree is completely useless. So, once he gets to the Ark, this is where the game actually starts. The game starts you off, you nab the 4th fake Chaos Emerald from Sonic Adventure 2, which, again, great that they wrapped that up in a nice little bow. I always wondered what happened to that fake emerald. Weird they left it, though. It's not like it doesn't have any chaos power, like, you know, that story plot aside, it's just weird that they left this up there, right? In any case, you meet up with Black Doom in Act 2 of the Ark, where he kind of brings you to Radical Highway in the end, and no, that's not going away anytime soon. It kind of sticks for a while. Also, for my fellow Shadow the Hedgehog video game enjoyers, the game has 0 stages here, at all. None. Whatever. You know, no Prison Island, no Digital World, and no Westopolis. Completely missed opportunity. Don't know why they didn't take it. Because again, they acknowledge that Doom exists now, right? They didn't completely bury the history of Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game. They didn't bury the fact of what happened to Maria in that game either, or SA2. Which, again, baffles me, because it's like, you get music, concept art, and unlockables throughout the whole thing, but it's like, was this rushed a little bit just to meet the deadline for the movie? Just a little bit? Just a little bit, right? Okay, alright, I'm just gonna list off the power-ups and give you my brief thoughts of them. We have Doom Sphere, which is just a multi-hit Chaos Sphere. Okay, like, great, like, this, whatever. Alright, next we got Doom Surf, and, I guess I'm not the only one who thinks this Doom Manta sounds cooler. I heard a few different places and people saying it. I don't know who said it first, I don't know how that started, but I hate the side dash of this thing. They could have made it more directional based on input, and it's just controls a little weird. To me, at least. I'm not saying it's Plessy from Mario 3D World levels of bad, but it's nowhere near as refined. As it could be, I'm just saying, like, I know people are going to come for me in the comments and say, this is great, but the dash could be better. The dash could be a lot better. Honestly, this one I completely forgot about until writing this script. We have Doom Blast, which is the most forgettable out of the bunch. You use it to get a few collectibles in some of the stages. But other than that, it's mainly just traversal in the hub world. No one really, like, I can't think of a single time I've used this in a stage and it wasn't tied to a collectible. Alright, then we have Doom Morph, which, again, like, it needed a lot more work because, I'll be damned, it took me a while to figure out this thing and its timing. Makes no sense whatsoever. Lastly, we have Doomwing, which is the Super Shadow. It's, you know, part of the whole tie-in package. You essentially just...
with style.
Which is fine. It's cool, and you get a double jump, and it eats at your rings like any other super form. makes sense why he can't use the emeralds here, though it kind of stinks no Super Shadow here. I felt there could have been a cool time reason, like Sonic and Shadow somehow randomly get this, and, whatever. I'm glad Papa Doom is giving him some powers, though, that we can kind of screw around with and poke and prod at. Last, though, baked into his moveset is Chaos Control, which is just 5-second pause and warp, kinda. I mean, it just looks like hover from covers when you light dash the set across the rings. Too much out there, but, like, I can't... Again, it's just too much. Chaos Control does too much. 1 minute it's time control, next thing it pauses time, next thing it warps you, next thing it teleports you. It's just whatever Sega wants it to be at this point. No one really cares what it does, it's just a MacGuffin. It's like the last thing that's baked into his moveset, yet it's the most confusing thing in terms of story, and I know Sonic is not known for story, but this is the character that is literally written to have a story. Can we make this more clear for him, please? Alright, so, after the arc, we have Rail Canyon. Not my first pick for heroes. I would have picked, like, Grand Metropolis or, like, Egg Fleet. So, seriously, like, great stages, but this is just fine. It's clear this is a small little tie-in package, which, it's not bad, but it's not great. Okay, fine, whatever. After we save Orbot and Cubot, who I guess followed Eggman in the Time Eater portal after Colors, sure, fine, whatever. But then, like, they give you this Korok joke, which I guess it's supposed to be funny, but, like, I don't want to collect these nuts and bolts for what, an achievement? Like, come on, guys. Can we, like, stop having pointless collectibles? At least the other collectibles actually do something. They give you art, music, etc., etc. You get them by collecting tokens in the stages and the missions, and, like, again, the missions aren't my favorite. Am I gonna 100% this? Probably not. It needed more refinement. The whole game needed more refinement. But, that being said, I like that they give you something of value. The nuts and bolts don't. Again, I'm not even gonna put gameplay of it, because I don't like the collectible aspect of this. I don't like the missions, never liked the missions. But I see why people would like them. They're cute, they're fun, they're easy to do, and they're bite-sized. So, okay, fine. For those of you who are completionists... Oh, I guess I can't say that anymore. Thanks, Gerard. Anyway, I thought I'd make this little random promise. 1 million followers, and I will do the rest of the Korok seeds in both my Breath of the Wild save file and my Tears of the Kingdom save file. You have my word, I will do it. I promise you. Okay, now that we have that said and done. Cool, great, awesome. Moving on, though, we get our first boss fight in the Bio Lizard. Now, like, they did it in the 3DS, too, where, they had the fight, and, the port, it was okay with the fights and stuff, but, it's more refined here, where he's got these bubble arms, and you attack him, and it's cool, and yada yada yada, but this poor thing can't get a break. I mean, really, even Shadow says something along the lines in the dialogue there, where he's like, please rest, like, dear gosh, please, just stop, man, you poor creature. It's fun, I just feel bad for beating on him so much, because he does look cute, and he looks like he's in so much pain. Again, you do missions, get keys to fight the bosses, and... Okay, fine, cool, I get it. It's not my favorite portion of the game. It's the bulk of the game that makes it the problem. It really does make me think this was a little rushed, and to tie in with Sonic 3. More on that later. We get a cutscene for Shadow fighting Doom, and this is just fine, I guess. It's just adding more refreshers to the events of Shadow the Hedgehog. Not worth showing any cutscene clip for this, because, again, if you play the other games, which I'm assuming if you're a Sonic fan, you already, know. This is just common knowledge. Alright, cool. So the next stage we have, it's another saving grace for Sonic 06. It's Kingdom Valley, which, again, at the time of 2011, everyone still hated Sonic 06. This was a welcomed addition now. Everyone's loving this, and my opinion, except for the Mach Speed section in the original, it actually wasn't the worst stage in there. That one would probably have to be Silver and that stupid 8-ball. I hated that one so much, and even though Amy's gameplay was terrible in 06, I think whatever the little 8-ball was worse. I will say the 2D and 3D sections are very unique between, Act 1 and Act 2, because it gives a different perspective on a stage that's already been done in either 3D or 2D, so I like this. I'm okay with this. I know a lot of people aren't happy that it's all 3D or all 2D or whatever, but again, it just follows Generation's formula, so I'm okay with this. after we completely save Kingdom Valley, we actually get Big the cat baby, and I just love, oh my gosh, look, he's an endearing character. I love him. He always loses his frog. It's really cute. I'm sorry, it's just fun. He's a fun character. His gameplay was terrible in Adventure. Oh god, alright, fine. Anyway, look, next we have Sunset Heights from, I can't. I hate Forces so much, just because of what it teased, too. Like, I don't think anyone understood. More on that in the Forces video, if I ever make one, because I really don't want to play Forces. I don't want to play Forces. Do you hear me? I don't want to play Forces. And look, it still has Forces DNA in this godforsaken game. I hate it. I hate it. Anyway, look, I'm more grateful that Radical Highways was the stage that they just transitioned you to from, you know, from Sunset Heights. Like, fine, okay, I'm glad it's here. Glad it's here now, finally. Bring me as much Radical Highway as you feasibly can, as long as it does not touch anything Forces related. Though, my lack of gratitude kind of stops after Sunset Heights, because then we get a cutscene where Shadow saves Maria, and oh my gosh, no one knows that Shadow's actually from the future, or anything like that, and he doesn't tell them about the black arms. They kind of just, Gerald says it later on, and you know, like, dude, they've been dead for 50 years, and the only thing you say is, I'll take care of it. Like, you could have done so much more. I just feel like it's lazy, or he wasn't allowed to do much. Like, we got a Sky Sanctuary being eaten joke, because Classic Sonic's a little pudgier. You couldn't have said, oh my gosh, I miss you guys so much, and give, like, a big ol' hug or something. Like, anything would have been better than that. Like, how you handled a completely traumatic backstory just baffles me. How that was your reaction. Alright, whatever. After that travesty, next we have Metal Overlord, and oh my gosh, for the remakes. Oh, What I'm Made Of is great. Really the only track that kind of made me think, oh yeah, by the way, remix music was here. Again, in Shadow Generations, I really enjoyed it, but like, it's not great. It's not. Like, it's a good, and again, I'm glad I paid money for it. I'm glad I got the collector's edition, because I got the collector's, or sorry, I didn't get the collector's edition back in the day when that was a thing. But look, it could have been like Egg Fleet or something that he was just running on, catching up to Metal Overlord. He could have been running on like abandoned ships from like the Egg Fleet on ground or something like that, because Metal Overlord, yeah, he kind of destroyed all the ships and made a whole new thingy or whatever, but like I said, it just seems like the whole thing was just, yeah, sure, Shadow, let's just put him on water on the Doom Manta, and, you know, he'll fight Metal Overlord by knocking things. I'm sure that'll be fine. It's not. It kind of just, I don't like the Manta, I don't like the Morph, I kind of just like the regular gameplay, and I guess this is kind of how people felt with the Wisps in Sonic Colors, but the Wisps ended at a certain point. You press the button, it's one and done. These are actually things you control, which, again, for those of you who like it, it's fine. The Chaos Sphere one is probably the least defensible because you just press triangle, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Also, I should probably mention that this was my reminder that Metal Overlord, for whatever reason, decided to have Chaos Control, because I guess he absorbed some Chaos data or whatever. It's been that long since I played Sonic Heroes, and with the rumors of a remake coming around, I do have my hopes up, because I did love that game as a kid, and I did get the last story. Alright, cool. After beating Metal Overlord, we get some more exposition of Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, I'm not going to show it because, again, it's just reiteration of things we already know as Sonic fans. Like, most people who bought Shadow Generations was either really excited that the, you know, Sonic Generations was getting a remake, or, you know, maybe just kids, fine, whatever. Like, it's up in the air. I really don't know. They gave us a lot of reiteration and not a lot of, oh, here's something new. Alright, lastly, we have the Frontier stage in Chaos Island, which, okay, I get Generations is nothing but reused assets, but does this really have to be the last stage? Like, I would have liked something from Lost World. I think Lost World actually plays a heck of a lot better than Frontier, or Forces, sorry. Almost committed a vile sin there to any Sonic fan. But, like, again, I don't know why this needed to be here at all. It throws everything off in terms of gameplay momentum too, because this is where they introduced the Doom Morph, and again, it just ruins all momentum. Like, I don't like the Doom Morph. I don't think anyone is like, yeah, I want the Doom War. Like, if you find it genuinely fun, please tell me in the comments. I want to know. Also, after Chaos Island, we get the most fan service animation, and this hyped me up with all the callback lines, and it was cute, and I loved it. And let's not forget, I'm a Sonic fan, but getting this twice in one sitting, oh my gosh. Just needed more tissues.
2 seconds later.
The best boss in Shadow Generations, though, has to be the one that they should have never revealed prior to release. Especially, you know, either Black Doom or the Time Eater. Both of these guys don't want this behemoth of a monster getting out. They locked him heavy. They said, nope, put him in the basement, give an extra key on the lock, and put him in the darkest corner of time-space. The dialogue is also overshadowed by the music, and again, if you could turn the music down just to, you know, listen to the dialogue or listen to it separately, fine. I'm talking about Mephiles the Dark. Like, my gosh! The music really overshadowed this, although I'm really upset it's not played by Dan Green, the same guy who voiced Yugi Moto in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, for anyone who needs that kind of context. I will say that is kind of my only gripe. Alright, so lastly, again, this is where Doom comes in. You know, we get Maria and Shadow having a cute little moment, but what really stuck out to me here is Shadow genuinely smiled, and it's unsettling. It was like watching Batman smile, but, you know, I think he deserved that. I think he deserved that. This is where we get the Doom Wing, and he climbs up, and it's Radical Highway. It's only 3D sections here. Like, this is the only stage place that gets 3D sections. I don't know why, I don't know how, but you know what? I'm okay with it. It should have been Westopolis, though. I'm sorry, I'm a Shadow the Hedgehog video game fan. You beat Devil Doom and Neo Doom or whatever, and, like, the most unconvincing I'm Gone explosion plays. I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. It was satisfactory. But Doom was actually holding control of the time-space over here for some reason. I guess he just, for whatever reason, can do that. I don't know why he can do this. Shadow tries to warn Maria and Gerald about what happens on the Ark, and she's like, oh no, with the power of friendship, we'll always be together. Like, okay, cool, yeah, great. By the way, you know, instead of telling her that she's gonna get the American public school treatment from the military, or, I don't know, the fact that, hey, by the way, aliens might take over the planet, just a heads up, I don't know, I just feel like there's so much could have been said here. I get the not messing with time thing. I do. But, like, they could have done so much more with this. Like, at least make it a little more tragic. I get that he already accepted this stuff in the events of Shadow the Hedgehog, too. I can totally concede that, you know, that should have been his end there, but he's too cool of a character, and Sega loves money. So, what do I think of Shadow Generations as a whole? Gameplay-wise, it's fine, it's serviceable, I know why the Doom things need to be there. Collectibles are optional, as always, so again, it's fine, and it entices the player, and there's a cute little room that you can get stuff for Shadow and check out the cool things, I guess. In terms of story, it's awful. In my opinion, it already closes a chapter that was already closed. Like, we got the things we wanted from Sonic Adventure 2, which was acceptance. We got the thing we want from, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog, again, which is acceptance. Like, how much trauma does Shadow have to go through in order for him to either A, move on, or B, finally be happy? Again, we're not getting either of that. We got one smile out of him, and it happened here. Has he not smiled any other time? He kind of smirked with Big the Cat earlier, but still. Overall, Shadow Generations, at least this portion, is serviceable. It's worth the money. It's not worth completing. Alright, so speaking of lazy things that happened, I also forgot to mention about the DLC. I didn't put that in the script. Basically, the DLC is just there. Like, Keanu does a great voiceover of Shadow, but I mean, it kind of sounds phoned in a little bit. Like, in the movie, he sounds great, but in the game, it sounds phoned in. Like, he was on Zoom and he just didn't know what to say. And then the 2 missions after that were just so lame. Like, why are they here? They do nothing for you. The animation's cool. They play a whole 3-minute animation, though, for this guy. Like, my goodness gracious. Like, chill out, man. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. But, okay, yeah, it kind of goes a little hard. But, like, still, at least it's better than base Generations DLC. Does this game need more DLC? No, but it has potential to be milked for as, like, a lot of DLC, actually. Give me some of the 3DS stages. I would love that. Get that from Dimps. Someone call them up. Also, it's clear as day they can still work in the original Generations engine because they fixed the cutscenes up, and then on top of that, you know, they added things in the Chow hub world. And they also added things in the actual game, which is just the Chow. So, like, I'm confused as to why this game is not getting the love that Sonic fans really want to see put into it. Sonic Generations, in my opinion, I don't normally do ratings, but it was always perfect in my eyes. It just had a few flaws. I would say an 8.5 out of 10 if I were to give it a rating, because everyone loves ratings these days. And then Shadow Generations gets like, I don't know, it's 7. Sure, we'll give it a very loose 7. Like, I don't want to rate this, but like, at the same time, I've been too critical of Shadow Generations not to put it beneath regular Generations. Hey y'all, thanks for watching the first episode. I hope it goes well in whatever case. I learned a lot video editing wise, and you know, I appreciate any like, comment, subscribe. Another thing I would appreciate, if you go on Steam and you have a Windows computer, I do have a game that is up, and it's 99 cents. You get what you pay for. But I'm trying to just outsell Sonic Boom just because I want to say I outsold Sonic Boom. There's literally no other reason. It's not really much of a money thing. It's 99 cents. But, you know, it's like, it would just be funny. Like, I really just want to do it because it's funny, and everyone keeps telling me it's impossible. So, that's the funny part. But no, Generations actually means a lot to me as well. And I might make another video just talking about how it was back in the day, like, with the game and whatnot. Because it was the first game I actually ever bought with my own money. With that in mind, guys, thank you so much for watching, especially if you got to this point. If you got to this point, leave a comment down below of what your favorite Sonic game was and why. Thank you so much, and have a good one. Bye.